Okay, just like to welcome everybody to our Cloverbud training for this year for Cloverbud Camp 2015 for North Central. Glad we have a great group that is going to be going. A lot of people, I think over 200 this year, to our Cloverbud Camp. So it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of counties that are going, that some that have been going for a long time, and then also some new ones as well. So hope you all are excited. First off, on behalf of all of us agents, I would just like to say thank you to all of our volunteers that go to Cloverbud Camp, that make it possible. You know, we have to have so many chaperones for the kids to even have a chance to do, have the experience that they have at camp. So just thank you all for the weekend. I know for coming in tonight and just everything you do to make our camp possible. Real quick, I'm going to share my screen, so it might just take just a second for it to come up. And hopefully it'll work out. I'm going to go over the schedule real quick, some classes and stuff like that, and then we're going to kind of get into some behavioral things and maybe some things just to keep in mind while we're there at camp. Let me see if this works here. So the first thing I would like to go over is the Camp Cloverbud schedule. Can you all see that?
Yes, I can see it.
Excellent. Okay, yeah, Kathy, just kind of keep me posted on that. If you can't see it afterwards or something, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll just assume y'all can. So kind of the schedule's changed a little bit from years past as far as start times. In the past, we have had the counties eat before we went to Cloverbud Camp, and then get there after, because a lot of times we've had a camp group that was there already, and so we're coming in on the tail end of that. This time we will be able to eat lunch there on that first day, so you all can kind of see there from the top part. 11 o'clock is arrival for most counties, 11:30. We've asked to not come any earlier than that, just in the cases of getting everything ready to go and stuff like that. So when you first get there with your camp groups, you'll be kind of settling in the cabins and getting everything ready that way, making sure kids got bunks and all their luggage there, and then you start kind of learning campers and just know who's in there and who you're going to be a part of. One thing I will mention a couple of times tonight, it's going to be super important this year, and like a lot of years at Cloverbud Camp, but definitely this year, we've got several cabins that have kids from different counties. So there might be, a full Jessamine County cabin for girls, but there might be a split Jessamine County cabin for boys where it's maybe Jessamine and Mercer and somebody else. So there's going to be several. Some will have 2 counties of kids and adults in there and teens. Some might have 3 if that's the case, how numbers worked out. But we just ask that you all just be mindful of that and just keep in mind that if you're an adult or a JC in that cabin, that you're an adult and a JC for that cabin. So, you have a responsibility to your own kids if you're looking over a certain county's kids, but we just want you to be aware and share and just help take responsibility for any kids that are in that cabin. That'll help us out. Part of the reason we do that is because if we have a few more, say, counselors for that cabin, and then maybe a county comes that doesn't have enough, we have to use some of those counselors to meet that ratio for those other kids in another county. So just ask to kind of be open-minded while we're there, just take in those other kids and do the best you can, whoever's in your cabin to help be responsible for and to help make sure we all work together in those cabins. So we're doing that then, and we have lunch at 12:30. And then you'll kind of see we'll go into a little orientation, just to remind you all of a few things and stuff like that. And then we'll kind of go on and get started with our classes. The way class rotations are set up, if you haven't been before or if you have, it's by cabin. So if you're familiar with summer camp, you sign up for different classes, individual kids. Cloverbud Camp, we rotate. Everybody takes all 10 classes, or 9 classes. I got that right, 9 or 10, 12 actually. So we will have 12 classes. All the cabins will rotate with your cabin. So we will have the class rotation schedule there, and it'll kind of tell you where to start. You'll start at that class, and then you can kind of go on from there, and you'll rotate by cabin with your entire cabin group. So you'll see those there. So we have a few classes there on Friday. Then we'll go into our pre-swim period. You'll have dinner, Sally at night, and all that stuff typical if you're used to being at camp. Saturday, 6:45, polar bear swim will be available. And then for those that don't, we'll have the rise and shine stuff at 7:15, breakfast, and go into classes and do that during the day on Saturday. Pre-swim will still be before dinner Saturday evening. And then we'll do field games and stuff like that Saturday night. Lights out at 10:45. And then we've got a few classes to fit in Sunday morning before we leave. So you can see that we'll have lunch at noon and then depart for home at 12:45. So pretty typical schedule that you see there. Again, everybody's going to rotate through those classes and everything. We just kind of ask you to keep in mind to always be track of your group, keep track of who's in your cabin. We'll have cabin sheets enough for everybody. Kathy, Dana, some of them have done a really good job in the past of making folders that's got plenty of information per cabin. So if you feel like that you're missing something or anything like that when that starts, just let us know when we get there. But for the most part, we'll have, like I said, rosters and schedules and class rotations and all that will be in your cabin information. Is there any questions on camp schedule?
Mike, we will have folders for every counselor, like you said, and we'll have schedule, cabin sheets, all that information will be in there and at camp when everybody arrives.
Excellent, excellent. And usually I think in the past, and correct me if I'm wrong, but, when your county arrives, you either have an agent or a leader that can go in and get, cabin boxes if that's the case, and then pick up your folders there, and then that, you don't need everybody to come in there, but just, one person or an agent or something will be responsible for going to get the folders, and we can distribute those when you get there.
Perfect.
Okay. Next thing I want to cover real quick is camp classes, just so you all have an idea of what those camp classes are. Can you all see that on your screen now? Those of you that are calling in, I'm going to read those real quick just so you know. So these are the classes that everybody will be taking. Archery, canoeing are both staff-led classes. Tie-dye is a leader-led class. Nature led by staff. Challenge course staff. Recreation staff, and then we have leaders for the rest except swimming. Foods, scavenger hunt, rocketry, swimming. And that's not the free swim, so they'll have a free swim too, but you'll have a swimming class also. And then fishing, and then kickball. There'll be a kickball class. So those will be the classes. Just ask the best you can to accommodate those kids that are there. Just remember, if it's your first time being a JC or an AC at Cloverbud camp, just kind of keep in mind it's a different group of kids than what's at summer camp. They're still growing. They're right in the process of growing. They're active, most of them. Some of them, it might be their first time away from home, but they work really well in groups. They're good with groups. They're good, being motivated. Seems like they have fun and a little bit of everything. So just kind of go in there with that mindset, just fun, work with them, eat lunch with them, eat meals with them. Stay involved with them in your classes, and everything should surely go just fine. Any questions on the classes? Kathy, anybody, other agents on here that's got anything you want to add to classes or anything like that?
I think you covered it. Just making sure, our counselors are much more involved during class times than regular summer camp. That's one thing to keep in mind because our youngsters they need a little more help. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Right, yeah, and I don't want to say needy, but I don't know what other word to use. These kids, they want to be by your side. They want you to be involved with them, and so we need to be accommodating for that. So just go into it with a mindset of I'm going to be really hands-on with these kids. It don't matter if it's my kid, a kid from another county. It doesn't matter. Just if they're in your cabin, just treat them like your own, and we'll work with it from there. I'm going to do a couple little expectation thing real quick. Kathy, did we ever say JC phones, cell phones? Did we ever talk about that?
My JCs are not allowed to have their cell phones.
Okay. It's a mixed group, and I know that, every summer camp group has different expectations on JCs and cell phones. Adults, of course, it's fine. JCs, it's different per group. You need to check. I'm going to suggest check with your individual agents on that. No matter what the situation, the focus is on the kids. So the phone should never, ever be out in a class, during meal times, anytime that if there's people around, no phones. I mean, that's just the way it is. The focus is on the kids, no matter what. So hopefully it won't be an issue. It hasn't been in the past. Absolutely under no circumstances do we let even adults or JCs call home the parents. If there's an issue with homesickness or anything like that, we've got Dean of Men and Dean of Women program directors and agents there all over the place. You get a hold of who that agent is, that Dean of Men, Dean of Women, if it's a behavior problem, and we will do the calling home. Because it is very nerve-wracking to be called by an agent, to be called by a parent or something, and they say, oh, well, I've already talked to my so-and-so camper. Little Susie's already called home. So under no circumstances should anybody be calling home. That'll be left up to agents to ultimately do that when it's time to do that. Just so you all know, kind of pecking order on stuff, Darrell, would you just mention a word real quick? We got Darrell Stillwell is our camp manager this summer. If you want to introduce yourself real quick, Darrell.
Hey everybody, how are you?
So
we are in the midst of a storm here, so I'm trying to make a new plan and be at this meeting at the same time. I'm Darrell. I'm the camp director. If you haven't met me, you will. If I have met you, excited to see you again.
We're excited to have Darrell here, and I know everything's been going real good at camp, and I think it's raining a little bit everywhere right now, so we appreciate you doing that, and we understand if you've got something else you need to attend to. Program director is going to be Kathy. So Kathy Weaver, Jessamine County is program director, so she'll be kind of overseeing a lot of things, and just if we kind of need to make some decisions on stuff, we can go to her on that. I'll be Dean of Men, Mike Meyer from Harrison County, and I believe Dana Anderson is Dean of Women from Mercer County. So if you have direct behavior problems or something, you can talk to your AC, talk to your Dean of Men, Dean of Women, and then we'll make sure your agents are told about that. If you run by your agent, you can tell them too. But we just want to make sure we keep agents, Dean of Men, Dean of Women, program directors in contact on anything that's going on with situations with the kids. Real quick, dress code. Like I said, it shouldn't be an issue, but if it's not appropriate for school, it's not appropriate for camp. Just kind of keep that in mind. We want to make sure we're setting a real good example for these kids, and I know a lot of you all will do that, and it won't be a problem, but every now and then we have an issue. So just kind of keep that in mind. I'm not going to read down through all these, but I just want to mention a couple things. No inappropriate slogans on clothes, tank tops, muscle shirts, any of that stuff. Ladies, bras don't need to be showing. Don't be showing anything chest-wise. No bras showing anything like that. Guys, tank tops, wearing tank tops that are cut down all the way to the waistlines, not acceptable. Any of that stuff. Just make it appropriate. Appropriate T-shirts. Tank tops are fine, but they need to be the proper width. Just make sure that it's appropriate and it covers everything it needs to cover. Shorts, no short shorts, no cheerleading shorts, nothing rolled up, nothing. We shouldn't be able to see anything that your grandma or grandpa would be okay seeing. So make sure it's appropriate. If you can wear it to school, it's probably fine because I know you can't wear a lot of that stuff to school. So just make sure the shorts are appropriate. Bathing suits, it needs either to be a one-piece or a tankini. If it's a two-piece and that's all you got, I understand, but you'll have to wear a T-shirt. So that's just kind of how it is. That's for the campers and for our JCs and adults. So just kind of keep that in mind. You'll have to wear a dark-colored T-shirt if you come with a two-piece. Otherwise, if you get a chance to get a one-piece or a tankini, that's a really good idea to just go on and do. Shoes need to be closed-toed. You all know that. Flip-flops and stuff is only for cabins, pool time, bath time, that type of thing. Any questions on dress code stuff? Okay.
Perfect.
Good deal. Cabin time, I just want to mention real quick. Always keep in mind just the ratios and stuff that are there. We're super stringent on this on summer camp, even more so on Cloverbud camp. We've got a lot of people there, but we've got a lot of leaders too. Just make sure nobody goes unmonitored. Make sure any one time there's never less than 3 people going somewhere. So if you're going for medications or anything like that, it needs to be at least 3 of you that go. Nobody should be in the cabin with a kid individually. And that way don't just put you in a bad position at any one time. You can see on the side there, our Cloverbud camp ratio is 1 to 5, but it's even less than that. It's more like a 1 to 3 or 1 to 4 or something. So there's plenty of us there. Just make sure that that's appropriate. Like I said, no one in the cabin's alone. Only during designated cabin time. We really rely on you. I understand that we ask you to work hard while you're there and to be in classes and do that, but just kind of keep in mind, just try to make sure you're at where you're supposed to be at, whether it's in classes or free swim or stuff, because even during free swim, one thing I'll mention about that, we've got to have pool spotters. If we don't have pool spotters, we can't have free swim for the kids. So that has to be, I believe it is 2. So you got to have 2 per cabin at a time during your classes, and there'll be even more than that to fit the ratio during free swim time. You need to make sure that there's 2 there at all times during your class swim time, but also during free swim that you're taking your turn being a full spotter, and we'll ask everybody to do that. So just take your time and take your rotation time so it's fair for everybody, but we've got to have those there. Times to be in cabins, there's a little bit of time. In this instance here, this is a little different because this is my county stuff, but if you look at your schedule, what we had before, I think that you will have you'll have some time at night before you go to bed. There'll be some time to change in between a couple of your class rotations. If it's between class, like class 2 on your first day, you go to the country store, somebody forgot money, just, stuff like that, where if you need to run back, then you'll have a little chance to do that. But remember, you've got to go in groups. And the best way to do it is if you can decide to go as a whole group or not, that's good. But it never can be less than 3. And then you'll have a little bit of rest time in your cabins. Just something to keep in mind when you're there, especially going into the end of that second day. Try to utilize that cabin time efficiently. Try to get them to they don't have to sleep, but, just lay down, rest a little bit, kind of keep quiet, just rewind, unwind a little bit, because they're going to be pretty busy and stuff like that, and we just want them to just use that time. Don't be throwing rocks, don't be hitting each other with brooms, don't be doing any of that stuff. So just kind of keep that in mind on that. Use that cabin time efficiently. Make sure you all are there and monitoring the kids, and try to get them to rest a little bit during that cabin time. Any questions on that so far? Real quick, I'm going to address just shower time, lights out stuff. Just remember the privacy of the kids. They are a whole lot more, I don't know how else to say, free-spirited than sometimes camps get. Some of these younger kids, they don't really understand bubble or stuff like that. I mean, sometimes they'll want to just change right there in the middle of the floor, some of them in the cabin and stuff. Be leery of that, and if you see a kid that's just like, woo, it's free, free swim time, I'm going to change right here in front of everybody. Just kind of be like, hey, put your towel on, give them some time. Maybe if you need to stop by the restroom and change, do something like that. You all just don't put yourself in an awkward situation. Make sure that you deal with anything as quickly as it happens there. Shower time, take them up as a group. Tell them don't be messing around in the shower. Go in their individual shower, take their shower, come out and get ready for bed or whatever the case may be. Again, just don't put yourself in any situation that you could possibly, cause a bad issue with. Lights out at nighttime. Do the best you can to get them wound down as quick as you can. Like I said, we've got to get up early the next day, so try everything you can to get them a shower, get their teeth brushed. Everybody go to the restroom, no matter if they say they don't have to. So hopefully we don't have to deal with some of those, bedwetting issues or any of that. And it might happen, but just try the best you can to get them settled down and ready for bed when that time comes. Real quick, I will mention on just any issues in the cabin if there's a bedwetting thing or anything like that. Just like you would at summer camp if you've been, we try the best we can to stay away from putting a spotlight on that situation. So if you have an issue with somebody who did that, and they're not going to come and tell you most of the time, they're going to roll their sleeping bag up when it's Saturday morning. They're going to try to tuck it away. Some kid's going to be like, oh, little Susie, she used the bathroom in the bed, ha ha, whatever. We got to cut that out. So don't let anybody laugh at anybody. Don't let anybody make a situation out of it. Just say, okay, hurry up, you all, let's get ready for the next activity, whether it's class 1 or breakfast. Let's do that. Get them there, and then you need to tell either an agent, Dina men, Dina women, or you yourself, if you've got a trash bag or something there, put the sleeping bag in the trash bag, bring it up. We can go into Darrell's place there, office. We can put it in the washer and dryer, take care of that, get it back to their cabin before it's even time for them to come back again. So just try to really just diffuse like anybody being around or making a big deal out of that type of situation, because it can really honestly it can ruin a kid's weekend at time at camp. So let's try to steer away from that. You all know just a couple little scenario stuff real quick, and I'm not going to hit a whole lot on this, but you all know mostly about behavior issues and stuff like that. Bullying's a case where, you might run into an instance where a kid says something bad or calls a kid a bad name or something like that. Okay, knock that out right away. If it's something where you run into a kid that's consistently, multiple times, calling a certain kid names or a group of kid names, then we're going to run into a bullying issue, and we need to take care of that and address that, properly how we need to. Make sure that you all use appropriate language. set appropriate example, and I know you all will do that. We won't have to worry about that, but I just wanted to kind of let you know on that type of stuff. Keep us informed at all times, agents, men, women, your agents, just make sure you do that. Cleanup duties, just keep in mind every cabin's going to have some sort of cleanup duty, whether it be, not everybody's going to have a wonderful, delighted kitchen party time, but some of you will, but everybody will have responsibilities for grounds cleanup, cabin cleanups, and stuff like that. So just do the best you can to help them with that and get those done, because those kids, some of them might have used a broom at home, most of them have not, and they will push a dirt pile around all over that dining hall. So just kind of help them out, jump in there, help them out, make sure that they're cleaning stuff and it gets done in an appropriate manner. Any questions from you all so far? You'll get those camp cleanup assignments when we get there. We'll have those there. Everybody will have those. Along with your schedule stuff, it'll tell you when to do that. Real quick, I'll cover medication stuff, just like summer camp. Just make sure there's no medication in the cabins. The only thing they should have is, EpiPens or emergency inhalers if that's even an issue. So if it's anything like that, then your agent will know about it, your leaders will know about it. Other than that, if you see a bottle of Tylenol, somebody says, hey, oh, he's got some NyQuil or something. Well, they can't have that kind of stuff in the cabin. So it all needs to be collected. It all needs to be put into the HCP office and taken care of that way. Also, make sure that, you'll kind of know who has breakfast meds, lunch meds, dinner meds, all that stuff. Get those kids there. Don't depend on somebody else. Make sure everybody in that cabin takes responsibility in determining who needs to make sure that kid gets there to get their medication during that time. Trying to think of what else we have. Agents, anybody have anything that you would like to add? I think we're getting pretty close to time to get you all out of here on time. I'll give you a second if anybody has questions or a remark that they need to make.
I think the only thing I would add is just what you've already emphasized, that we've got to be, we just got to be mindful of other counties, and we kind of want to function as one group instead of individual counties, and just be aware, you may be there with your one particular child, but, that you're a leader for a cabin of kids fully, so. Right,
just kind of keep that in mind, like I say, because that's going to make it best for the whole cabin and the whole group, and we rely on all those adults and JCs to help us monitor whoever's in that cabin. So the best you can, just kind of work with everybody, and just as soon as you get in that cabin, just go in with the mindset that's all those kids are your responsibility, like if they were your own or your own counties or whatever the case may be, and it'll make it good for all of us.
I think on the same token, working with leaders from other counties as well, meet each other, come up with a game plan, and work together to manage the cabin. I think that also is something to keep in mind.
Right. And you'll have a little bit of time there too, right when you get there. You'll have a little bit of time there when you can kind of deal with that. Talk to each other, like Kathy said, figure out who's doing what as far as who's going to be kind of the head person on medications and stuff like that, and just kind of work those out together. Really take some time to get to know those kids too, because I know a lot of you in those cabins might know the kids from your county, but again, if it's a mixed cabin, you might not know those kids from the other cabin, the other county. So take some time right there when you get there to know those kids, because they're going to remember your name, because there's only 2 or 3 of you. They're going to kind of expect you to remember their name too, whether, it's a little tough because you got so many, but they will kind of expect that, before too long, that you know who they are, and you're trying to build a relationship with those kids when they get there individually. Something that Shannon mentioned real quick that I just wanted to hit on was homesick issues, anything like that. We tell our camping group, and I'm sure everyone does it different, but a lot of that stuff happens from right towards the beginning. Sometimes you have kids that are uncomfortable just being there because, they drop them off the first time away from home. That's gonna escalate quickly if when they get to camp, counselors start picking favorites in cabins, or, they're hanging out in the back of the group when it's time to go to lunch or when it's time to go to that first class. And that's kind of where they're going to start feeling alienated. And next thing you know, they're going to say, oh, my head hurts, oh, my stomach hurts. And then next thing you know, they're going to be like, I don't feel good, I just want to go home. And then by then we've already created a situation. So in the beginning, if we can really pump each one of these kids, you all be super aware, just be alert of who's in your cabin and, this kid's been hanging back and there's not been a lot of people talking to him and stuff like that. It doesn't seem like they have a lot of friends. Let's go on and try to include them the best we can. In that case there. If there is an issue with homesickness, remember, we said if nobody calls home, we'll do that. You need to tell your adults in the cabin, and then they will tell Dean of Men, Dean of Women, agents, that individual kid's agent, and we'll work with that parent on that and deal with that. We want to try to keep all these kids here. It's just, really, it's only 2 days. It's over the course of 3, but you got 2 half days. So we want to try to keep them there the best we can. Just keep them positive, looking forward to the next activity. Always looking forward. Don't talk about their parents. If they say, oh, I'm missing home, I'm missing my dog, I'm missing my neighbor, we'll change the subject, talk about something else, just go on to the next topic. If they even start about it, hey, well, let's talk about, class 3, we're doing archery or something or whatever. Just kind of go to that. So I know a lot of you have dealt with that before. Just kind of keep that in mind. Keep them the center focus while we're there. That's the biggest thing. If you can just do that, just keep their purpose there, and that's to have a good time and to really get them introduced into the camping program and what cool activity can be later on for them in their own county. So, any questions? All right, make sure you check with your own county agents. Make sure if people aren't there, agents, that we get this out, we'll get the recording back out, and they can go over this as well, because we'll have to have everybody on, training rosters, and stuff like that before you go to Cloverbud camp. So appreciate everybody tuning in. If you don't have anything else, I'll stay on for just another minute or something if somebody has a question. But other than that, we appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you all.
Don't forget to hit stop.
I'll do it right now.